welcome to another episode of Bups's Dharma Lounge. This is a time to relax and discuss all things Dharma. Welcome. Hi, I'm Bupsa Frank Jude, and this is Bups's Dharma Lounge. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome. I hope you check out some of the previous episodes. If you're returning, welcome again. And I want to remind all of you, whether you're first-timers or have been following the podcast, that this is an act of dana. It's an offering that I freely give, and I will never monetize it. There are no ads. There's no formal subscriptions or anything else, but any offering that you share with me is always gratefully accepted and very much appreciated. Besides that, you can support this podcast by, mostly importantly, subscribing. Whatever platform you're on, please subscribe. If there's the option to give a rating, give me a 4 or a 5, whatever the highest ratings are. That'll be really great. Hit like, hit love, and then share. Please share it with anyone that you think might be interested. The more the word gets out, the easier the podcast is to find. And with that, I would like to thank those who have offered dana in the last month, including Jenny Kendall, Hyokin Tatiana Staloff, Yunjun Sally Weber, Ilchu, Andre Talbot, and Chingu Jason Cummings. I want to thank all of you for your continued support. It really makes a big difference, and it is always gratefully appreciated. So, in the previous episode, episode 32, I shared the traditional teaching as found in the Satipatthana-Sutta on the contemplation of the elements of the body. This is one of the contemplations found in what makes up the first domain of mindfulness presented in the Satipatthana, which is the body. The order of the contemplations found in the Satipatthana begins with mindfulness of breathing. Then it goes on to the mindfulness of postures. It was this that led me to the creation of mindfulness yoga, really using the postures of Hatha yoga as vehicles for practicing mindfulness. The sutra goes on to then expand to the mindfulness of bodily activities. And I mean any activity can count here, including defecation and urination, eating, all the movements that we do. Mindfulness of anatomical parts. Then there's the mindfulness of the elements of the body. And it concludes with the contemplation of the decomposition of the body. Now, at the time of the Buddha, Indian thought presented what were called the 5 great elements of earth, water, air, fire, and space. These are more thought of as principles, and if you haven't checked out the previous episode, episode 32, you might want to check that out for a more traditional approach to the contemplation of the elements that make up the body. However, given the picture that we have of the historical Buddha, I believe that if he were alive now, fully cognizant of what we have learned through modern scientific methodologies, he would use what we have learned from cosmology and physics, what we've learned through chemistry and from biology, in his deconstruction of the essentialist thinking about the self. So in this episode, I'm offering an approach to the practice of mindfulness of the elements of the body according to the modern understanding of elements. Modern science defines an element as being a substance composed of only one type of atom, which is defined by a unique number of protons in its nucleus, which is what makes up its atomic number. These are the fundamental building blocks of matter, each one having a unique physical and chemical properties that allows it to be identified and differentiated from other elements. And they cannot be broken down into any simpler substances through ordinary chemical means. However, they can be transformed into other elements through various nuclear reactions. For instance, as alchemists have long dreamed of, lead can in fact be turned into gold through nuclear transmutation. But it takes a particle accelerator to eject 3 protons from the lead atoms, which have 82 protons, leaving 79, which makes it gold. And this has in fact been done at the Large Hadron Collider, but it costs way more than the gold produced. And to top it off, the gold is unstable, and it only lasts for a fraction of a second. It's pretty mind-bending and awe-inspiring, I believe, to consider how the elements that make up our bodies were first made. Starting with the Big Bang, the process of nuclear synthesis created the lightest elements of hydrogen and helium. This process began in the first few minutes after the Big Bang, when the cooling of the expanding universe allowed protons and neutrons to form the nuclei of those first elements. Along with most of the hydrogen and helium found in the universe, trace amounts of lithium and beryllium were also formed at that time. Most heavier elements were then created inside stars through stellar nuclear synthesis, when immense heat and pressure led to nuclear fusion, and that transformed the lighter elements into heavier ones. The very heaviest ones, such as the iron that is found in our blood, formed during supernova explosions, in a process referred to as supernova nucleosynthesis. These explosions helped disperse these heavy elements throughout space. What this means, though, is that the hydrogen that's found in the water that your body is mostly made of is as old as the universe itself, and that the other elements, such as carbon and iron, were forged in stars perhaps billions of years ago. Carl Sagan told us that we are literally stardust. The cosmologist Sean Carroll has gone as far as saying we are star babies, in that our lineage of ancestors can be said to include the stars that created the very elements of our bodies. There are 92 elements that occur naturally on Earth. For living beings, only 11 of these elements are found in larger than trace quantities. Now, any amount 0.01% or less is what's considered a trace element. For vertebrates, such as humans, there are 2 additional elements that occur in larger than trace amounts, and these are iodine and iron. The periodic table of elements, which I've linked to in the episode description, is color-coded to show the elements found in the human body. Some 60 chemical elements are found in the body, but what many of them are doing there is still unknown. We know what about 1/3 of those elements are doing in our body. Roughly 96% of the mass of the human body is made up of just 4 elements: oxygen, carbon, hydrogen, and nitrogen, with oxygen alone making up about 65% of the body's mass. Of course, most of that is in combination with hydrogen as water, which makes up, depending, 50 to 70% of your body. That means the remaining 4% of the body's mass includes both prominent elements called macronutrients, while those found at the level of parts per million or less are referred to as micronutrients. And these nutrients perform various functions, including the building of bones and cell structures, regulating the body's pH, carrying charge, and driving chemical reactions. The FDA has set a reference daily intake for 12 minerals: calcium, iron, phosphorus, iodine, magnesium, zinc, selenium, copper, manganese, chromium, molybdenum, and chloride. And then sodium and potassium also have recommended levels. However, this does not exhaust the list of elements that you need. Sulfur is not usually mentioned as a dietary supplement because the body gets plenty of it in proteins, and there are several other elements such as silicon, boron, nickel, vanadium, and lead that may play a biological role but are not classified as essential. Identifying the exact benefit an element confers can be difficult, as they rarely enter the body in a pure form. A normal diet consists of thousands of compounds, some containing trace elements, whose effects are the study of ongoing research. For now, we can only say for certain what 20 or so elements are doing. Now, I personally have found this contemplation of the elements to get right to the heart of the key Buddhist teaching of not self, or the empty nature of the self. Put positively, this is the teaching of interdependent co-origination. These elements that make up the body are not some kind of special elements. That is to say, the carbon, that is the most important structural element, so important that we are considered carbon-based organisms. Well, this carbon is not different from the carbon that we continue to release into the atmosphere, creating climate change. The oxygen and hydrogen that makes up the water in our body is not some separate, different kind of oxygen or hydrogen from the water that's running in our streams and rivers that we continue to pollute. If it were possible to extract all the elements that make up my body, I will never come to some Frank Jude element that is unique, separate, and independently autonomous. This is what is meant by the empty nature of the body. There's no essential nature to the body. It's an amalgamation or aggregation of myriad elements, none of which are essential, unique elements that make us what we are. It's the aggregation. This realization makes me feel a deep sense of connection with all phenomena. It leads to a transcendence of the notion of self as some isolated individual atomistic entity. So in this contemplation, I encourage you to just think of it as a kind of mindfulness, a mindful acknowledgement, hopefully cultivating a deeper appreciation of the elements that go to making up our body. If you're in a place where you can close your eyes and do this practice now, I invite you to do it now. If you're driving or if you're engaged in something else while listening, maybe hit pause, stop the podcast, and when you have the time to practice, you can join me at this point in the episode. So for now, if you're going to practice with me, you might want to close your eyes and take the first of 3 breaths, breathing in through the nose and out through pursed lips. Take 3 breaths like that. After the 3rd breath, drop your attention down to the belly and See if you're breathing diaphragmatically. Ideally, you should be feeling the belly rise as you inhale and then fall as you exhale. Now remember, as always, the mind will wander, but it's mindfulness that sees the wandering, so it's not anything to get irritated with. Just let it go and bring your attention back to the belly, rising and falling. And we'll just do this for about a minute or so to help stabilize, unify the mind. And as we're breathing, it might be quite easy to bring attention to the oxygen that you're bringing into the body. Oxygen makes up more than half the mass of your body, and yet it's only about a quarter of its atoms. Oxygen, together with hydrogen, forms the water, which is the primary solvent found in your body and is used to regulate temperature and osmotic pressure. Oxygen is found in many key organic compounds, and it's almost impossible to imagine life without water. So just contemplating oxygen and its gift to life. The next element, carbon, is the most important structural element, synonymous with life itself, which is why we are referred to as carbon-based organisms. About 12% of your body's atoms are carbon. It has 4 bonding sites for other atoms, which makes it the key atom for organic chemistry, which allows for the production of long, complex chains of molecules that are then used to build carbohydrates, fats, nucleic acids, and proteins. Breaking bonds with carbon is an energy source. So contemplating the carbon in your body. Next, we bring mindfulness to hydrogen. These hydrogen atoms in your body were formed during the Big Bang almost 14 million years ago. Hydrogen is found in water and all organic molecules. So honoring this very fact that some part of your body right now may be as old as the universe. Next, we bring mindfulness to nitrogen. Nitrogen is found in proteins and in the nucleic acids that make up your DNA genetic code. So these first four most abundant elements of the human body, hydrogen, oxygen, carbon, and nitrogen, account for more than 99% of the atoms in your body and about 92% of its mass. Bringing mindfulness to the calcium, which is the most abundant mineral found in your body. Nearly all of the calcium in the body is found in the bones and your teeth. Its most important role in bodily functions is in protein regulation and muscle contraction. If there's not enough of this nutrient in one's diet, the body will pull calcium from the bones. It is so important. Mindful of the phosphorus found in the molecule ATP, the primary energy carrier in our cells. Phosphorus is also found in our bone. Calcium and phosphorus as we contemplate perhaps the skeletal structure of the body. Mindful of the potassium in the body, an important electrolyte, meaning it carries an electrical charge in solution. It is vital for the transmission of nerve impulses and our heartbeat regulation. So aware of the heart and the importance of potassium for its heartbeat regulation. The eighth most common element, sulfur, is found in two amino acids important for giving proteins their shape. Another important electrolyte, sodium, like potassium, is used for nerve signaling, and it's also one of the electrolytes that helps regulate the amount of water in the body. Contemplating sodium. Bringing mindfulness to chlorine, an important negatively charged ion that helps to maintain fluid balance as chloride. And the 11th element, magnesium, is involved in over 300 metabolic reactions. And it's used to build the structure of muscles and bones. And it's an important cofactor in enzymatic reactions. These are the 11 most common elements. All others after this are trace elements. So again, mindful of oxygen, carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, calcium, phosphorus, potassium, sulfur, sodium, chlorine, magnesium. The first trace element is iron. It's a key element in the metabolism of almost all living organisms, found in hemoglobin, which is the oxygen carrier in red blood cells. There's iron in your blood, helping to bring oxygen to every cell of every tissue throughout the body. Bringing mindfulness to fluorine, found in teeth and bones. It hardens teeth while preventing cavities, though fluorine itself is not considered essential to life. Whereas zinc is an essential trace element for all forms of life, Several proteins containing structures called zinc fingers helps to regulate our genes. Copper is an important electron donor in various biological reactions. And as if pointing to the interdependent nature of these elements in the body, without enough copper, iron cannot work properly in the body. Iodine is required for the making of thyroid hormones, regulating metabolic rate and other cellular functions. Selenium is essential for certain enzymes, including several antioxidants. Chromium helps to regulate sugar levels by interacting with insulin, though it also shows how much we've yet to learn, as we don't understand the exact mechanism. Manganese is essential for certain enzymes, in particular those that protect mitochondria. It protects these mitochondria from dangerous from dangerous oxidants. The 20th element, molybdenum, is essential to virtually all life forms. In humans, it's important for transforming sulfur into a usable form. And in nitrogen-fixing bacteria, it's important for transforming nitrogen into a usable form. Yet in our body, it is 0.0000013% of the body's volume. And the last of these trace elements, the 21st element in our contemplation, cobalt, is contained in vitamin B12, which is important in both protein formation and DNA regulation. So breathing here, just aware of these 21 elements. All of them essential for our life. all created through natural means, by stars and through the Big Bang. Pointing to how we exist interdependently with all phenomena. As Neil deGrasse Tyson has said, with this understanding, we can say that we don't just live in the universe. The cosmos, the universe, lives within us, right here in this body. And after the next in-breath, as you exhale, opening the eyes. Well, I do hope that you have enjoyed that meditation as much as I do when I do it. Maybe even learned a little bit. And I wish you all well. Thank you again for joining me here at Bubs' Dharma Lounge. Until next time, be well. This has been Bubs' Dharma Lounge. Please remember to subscribe, comment, rate, and share. In deepest gratitude and appreciation. May you stay well.